Right, welcome back. Professor Abba Gambo is with me here, member Presidential Committee on Food Security and an agriculture consultant to Nigeria Governors Forum. He's also the Dean Faculty of Agriculture, Yobe State University, Damaturu. Two profs on my show this morning. Prof, I'm not feeling like a prof because I know it takes a lot to be a professor. Thank you, Prof, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me again.
Prof, I guess you were listening to our conversation earlier that I had with Professor
Yes,
Waleke.
I did.
Food prices are the highest so far in over a decade.
Definitely.
Food inflation at 20.5%. Inflation at 16.47%. That's the headline inflation. Why are food prices on the increase? You lecture in Yobe State. That's one of the states that is plagued with insecurity and all of that. Give me a sense of what is happening. Okay.
Now, pardon me to start with by shouting out to my fellow professor, His Excellency Professor Babagana Zulum, for the unfortunate incident of yesterday. Some rocket-propelled launchers fell into the town, and then about 60 people were injured, 10 confirmed death. So on behalf of the AIT family, I want to shout out to the Borno State government and people. Now, still talking about the insecurity and vis-a-vis the food price increase. Nancy, let's do a small analysis. When you fill up your truck with beans, brown beans, Gaidam, a local government in northern part of Yobe State, is the best beans growing area in Nigeria. And they have the best brown beans, noted, confirmed. So when you load your truck in Gaidam, for you to move down to Lagos, you pass through 93 different checkpoints. 93. At each of those checkpoints, the driver is likely to stop, exchange something before moving. Now that's just the present reality on ground. Under such a situation, the food prices has to rise. And then secondly, we saw the figures as you enumerated, the growth in the agricultural sector. The growth happened during the close down, during the pandemic. So I just have to do another big kudos to Nigerian farmers for their resilience. Yeah. If we can have a growth of 3.42% in the agricultural sector during a pandemic, then definitely the Nigerian farmer must be applauded. And then secondly, and most important, the insecurity, it's now across the whole nation. You know, before when I come, you will be asking me, how is Borno? How are you faring? Now, you will be talking, how is Zamfara? How is Katsina? You understand? How is Niger State? So the flashpoints all over the country has increased over the last few months. So the more the increase in the number of flashpoints in insecurity, the more the price of food will rise. And the more the number of people, most of those people that are displaced in most of these areas that I just mentioned are actually farmers. You know, we have about 90%, 89%, we always talk, that are directly engaged in agriculture. So by the time you displace them, you are actually, you know, it's a system. The system moves on its own. That's the agricultural productivity chain, from land preparation to the clearing of the land, get planting when the rains come down, weeding, fertilizer application. It's a system. So whenever a breaks come into it, it will affect the whole value chain. And that is exactly what is happening. Recently, we heard of farmers in northwest Nigeria, not northeast now, northwest Nigeria. During the harvest, before you go to harvest your farm, you have to pay some people certain amount of money for you to enter your farm. So if the harvest is not done at the most rightful time, and the harvest is not taken to the market at the most rightful time, definitely the price will increase.
So, Prof, is it really true that farmers pay what they call harvest fees to insurgents before they enter?
Exactly.
So what do you think should be done to avert or to... It's just a sorry situation, because it seems, you just said earlier, what we experienced yesterday in Maiduguri.
Yes.
It baffles me that we don't have any shock system anymore in the country, because it's like we wake up every day, 10 people killed, 20 people died, 50 people died, and we are still working as if nothing has changed or nothing is happening in the country. And everybody's getting a feel and a bite of it. What do you think should be done? Because government will say it's doing a lot. in our Greek sector now, both, especially from the monetary side, doing a lot of interventions. Anchor Boras program, a lot of the farmers, rice farmers are in the north. What is government not doing? Or do you think government is playing lip service? You are a consultant to Nigerian Governors Forum on Agriculture. When you guys sit with these governors, what do you people tell them?
With all sincerity and honesty, Nigeria has never had it so bad as now. For the first time in the history of this country, you have two governors throwing bricks at each other. So the expectation from people like us and people like you is that we have so much confidence in the governors, so much confidence, and we have the belief that the governors can actually do and undo. But now when some governors are fighting among themselves and you expect them to put them under the same roof for them to tarnish out proper solutions to what is happening, is going to be extremely difficult. So the onus now falls on the federal government. And faster they take a decision, the better for the country. Every day the flashpoints are on the increase, every day. Like you rightly said, there is no day you open to any of the channels and it's sad story that welcomes you.
It's depressing right now to watch Nigerian news.
Very, very. And the anxiety and the fear is also on the increase. So it's like this farming population has now been sacked. Let's say Ansado in Zamfara State, they've been sacked. The next village or the next farming population near them are now under fear and apprehension. Is it going to be us next? Yesterday, the rocket launchers fell into Maiduguri. So the fear among my people now is which local government is going to be next? You understand? So with this kind of anxiety that is crippling virtually all the people in the country, I think is the best time for the federal government to come out and deal a decisive blow to all this. You know, at times talking alone will not do it. You have to walk the talk.
Now, do you think that the federal government, for lack of a word to use, has the capacity to get this solved? And why I said capacity now, or perhaps let me put it this way, new capacity. Because we've seen what has happened in the last few years. The president constituted service chiefs, kept them there for a very long time. They left now, career ambassadors. I don't want to get into all of that. It's not my business. But we saw that even insecurity deteriorated in the country. Having said that, other things that the federal government is doing is seemingly not yielding fruit. So what more can the presidency bring to bear to solve this insecurity crisis that is affecting every Nigerian and affecting where every Nigerian... The first thing is food, isn't it? What the basic needs of life. Food is our number one.
As a leader, Nancy, the truth is the box stops at your table. And you just have to take responsibility. We've seen it happen in other countries. By the time they kill 10 people, one officer will resign somewhere, a senior ranking officer will put in his papers, etc. It doesn't happen in Nigeria. But that's notwithstanding. We have to see our president. We have to hear. We have to see him talk to us in a way he has never talked to us before. Because as I'm talking to you, the onus lies on him, I repeat. And Nigerians are also expectant of what is not going to come from their local government chairman, from their state governors, but from the federal government itself. I'm happy with the change in the service chiefs. Marte, that was taken over some few days ago, the present chief of army staff gave marching orders. 48 hours reclaimed Marte, and gallant military officers in the Marte zone, they reclaimed the town in just one day, which is also a very good thing. But that's just part of the military, which you and me would not like to venture into. But then it also affects directly food security. Marte happens to be one of the major agricultural zones in Borno State. And you know, it's a very fertile ground for wheat production. Some few years back, we had about 5,000 hectares of wheat that was about being harvested. All of a sudden, the boys came in and the 5,000 hectares, we were expecting about more than 20,000 tons or so of wheat, and then it went away. So to answer your question directly, Nigerians will want to see a situation whereby the president will come out, say something, give a marching order. All those things that are happening in this country, enough is enough. We want to see an end. Nancy, the bandits that the military are looking for are the same bandits that an Islamic preacher went in full glare of the media to have a dialogue with. So you see, nothing is actually hidden. So if we're all just playing the ostrich, but like I said, the onus is the president that can actually solve this problem now.
Now, for you especially, Prof, that is part of the Presidential Committee on Food Security. I think that committee was created in 2019?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, yes. In 2019, and you also stay, or you lecture in the Northeast, Yobe State particularly. What do you think, how do you think we should address this farmer header crisis? And let me say this, I don't want to go into the politics of it. I want to look at it economically, because I'm looking at the numbers. The GDP numbers shows us that agriculture has now contributed more to GDP, crop production. So if, for example, that we had peace, farmers are on their lands and all of that, there will be more contribution to agriculture, which will also affect food price.
Definitely.
If our livestock, if the conversation is done in an economic manner, perhaps we'll have more contribution of livestock or animal husbandry to agriculture or to the GDP, that's agricultural growth. How do you think that this should be handled beyond taking away political lenses or ethnic lenses? Let me put it that way.
Okay, the typical cow in Nigeria, the typical Fulani cow, gives an average of 1 liter, approximately this, of milk per day. By the time you go to South Africa, the typical cow gives 50 liters of milk per day within the same African sub-region. Even in Nigeria, by the time you go to Murtala Nyako farm at Adamawa, you have the same thing. So what we are saying is, it's no longer possible for this constant movement from one place to another. We know they are looking for pasture for their livestock, and then they are looking for water for their livestock because of the differential in the rainy season within the country. When the rain stops in the north, they begin to go down, middle belt up to the south as the rainy season is still on there. So we now want to see a situation whereby you make a conducive environment for those that are doing pastoralism to stay in one place. We call that zero ranching, and we've already given the federal government that solution. We said the best way to go about pastoralism in Nigeria is to adopt the zero ranching method. Zero ranching means you don't allow the animals to go and look for food for themselves. We do it as we do to our horses in the palace. If you go to our palace now, the man that is taking charge of the horses is one of the most respected men in the palace. The horse, the moment it drops, it's cleared immediately. And the water, clean water, is brought to the horse. Plain grass and grains are brought to the horse. Once in a while, we take the horses out just in front of the palace for some little exercises. That's what you call zero ranching. You keep your animals in one place, but then the government must make the enabling environment for you to have the water source there, the grass and the forage and the grains that the animals are looking for, always on the move, it should also be there. So we are now actually looking at a situation whereby the 10,000 hectares we're talking about, whether we like it or not, we just have to adopt it, or else the movement will continue. And you know, it's with the movement that the insecurity is also escalating. Assume there are no movements. About the herdsman pastoralist clashes will not have happened. So we want a situation whereby the government should build an infrastructure with a permanent source of water, new improved grass species. By the time you go to
Is it the federal government now, the states should take that responsibility?
The federal government should take the initiative. Then we want now to trickle down to the state.
But shouldn't it be handled as businesses? Because it's a business. And I was driving home one day, I think about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, just driving within the city center here. And on a very busy road, I just saw cows from nowhere with a very young boy. Just stopped us, all of us. And in fact, I filmed it, and I'm going to show it one of those days. I was like, really? In the city center? And nobody's saying anything, and we're behaving as if we're all okay? So why I'm saying so is, shouldn't it be handled as a business? For example, if I want to start a business, for example, I go rent my shop, I put in my wares and all of that.
You know, people are already into that, but then the number is not so huge for one to know. There are people that actually do not do anything apart from selling livestock feeds, which is a major business. There are people that grow grass because they know a time will come when grass will be at par, almost with some grains in the market. You understand? And then there are some people that grow groundnuts, not because of the groundnuts, but then because of the forage. Because the forage is going to be more expensive than the real nuts at a particular season. So these are the things we are talking about. But for a kind of immediate and then a lasting solution, you know, the government has to intervene. How many people are into agriculture? And then my colleagues, farmers all over the country, how many of us will have the wherewithals to have the kind of farms that people like Murtala Nyako and others have? So this is a very important consideration. But then we need ranches. And then the zero grazing method or the zero ranching method is the only solution for now. Government at all levels should just demarcate some land, do a permanent source of water, introduce some grass species that can grow all year round. You know, where once you have water, the grasses will grow. That's production. Once you have water, anything can grow at any point in time. And then do a small veterinary clinic, do a small milking factory whereby when the milk you can actually buy, and then there will be off-takers. So these are the kind of things we're looking at. And faster, Nancy, it happens, the better. Because the flashpoints within the country is escalating. And truly, people are very, very frightened and depressed.
Depressed, yes. People are adding to our misery index because our misery index is high. Then with all this kind of news, why won't we be miserable as a people? I'm not the one saying it, it's the numbers, and the numbers are black and white. It can't be, I can't politicize it or quote it anyhow. Thank you very much, Prof, for coming today. We'll continue to look at this. Thank you very much. And I wish you a safe trip back. Really, because it takes grace now to travel in the country. Thank you very much. All right, I've been speaking with Professor Abba Gambo, who is the Dean Faculty of Agriculture, Yobe State University, Damaturu. He's also a member Presidential Committee on Food Security and Agriculture Consultant with the Nigeria Governors Forum. That's the show today. Please join us again tomorrow for another edition of the program. Be the best you can be the change you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Thank you for watching our video. Please hit the subscribe button below, turn on post notification to follow all our updates.